Why, hello there. Didn't expect to see you here today. I was just coming out to the garden to do a little bit of yard work, but since you're here, I might as well give you a look around. Welcome to Virtual Garden Tour 2020. My name is Seth Wechsler. I'll be your host for our walk around the garden here this afternoon. And thank you so much for joining me. I know you're wondering, Seth, what changes might have taken place in your garden during the 2019-2020 growing season? And I'm happy to give you a quick look around. Let's start by talking about some foundational changes. One of the first things you might notice here in the Wechsler Stonehirsch garden is the addition of a beautiful new deer fence. I believe it is constructed with stainless steel, could easily be aluminum. Truth is, I'm not quite sure, but I do know one thing. It keeps those deer out. We had to do quite a bit of tree work to put the fence in. I removed a couple trees here in the back right-hand corner of the lawn. We did have the stumps ground, and now there's ample sunlight as well as room for further plantings. We did get some new trees in and make some plantings during the 2019-2020 growing season. I'd first like to draw your attention to this beautiful, gigantic fig tree. A fig tree given to me by one of my father-in-law, Mark Hirsch. Danielle and I have had this fig tree for the last 6 years or so. It lived in a pot for many years outside our patio in our Twin Brook apartment, and now has found a happy place in the lawn here at Lay Hill View, Wechsler Stonehirsch Manor. We haven't had any fig production yet, but certainly hope to in the near future. Next, let me draw your attention to this beautiful southern magnolia tree. A southern magnolia tree, also known as a Bull Bay magnolia, is one of the most storied and historic magnolia trees in U.S. history. In fact, a 200-year-old Bull Bay magnolia tree stood for many, many years, centuries in fact, on the lawn of the White House. It was removed in 2017. Fortunately, Michelle Obama planted a seedling there during her tenure as First Lady. Our southern magnolia, Bull Bay magnolia tree, is extraordinarily happy. It's been getting great sun. It does bud and flower in the spring. Unfortunately, because we put it in just last fall, we haven't gotten any flowers yet. Very likely that we'll get some flowers next year. But Seth, I can tell you're wondering, how are your rhododendrons doing? Well, the rhododendrons, my friends, have had yet another difficult growing season. Let's take a walk. As you may or may not recall, the Wechsler Stonehirsch yard hosts no fewer than 6 rhododendrons. Over here we have 3 rhododendrons which have had an awfully hard time of it. The 2019-2020 growing season was no exception, I'm afraid. These rhododendrons were preyed on by deer and bugs alike, and they didn't get quite enough sun last growing season. It's possible we had some disease pressure. There may have been some fungus pressure, and it's unclear to me, but I suspect we may have also had some insect pressure. That said, following the removal of a fence in the back right corner of the yard, we've started getting an awful lot more sun, not just on the, I guess this is the northeastern quadrant of the lawn, but also here on the west. These rhododendrons have bounced back nicely this year. You can see that we've got an awful lot of new growth. We are getting some leaf drop and some spotting, but I do expect these plants to have a great year. How about our oak leaf hydrangea? Well, take a look behind you, my friends. During the 2018-2019 growing season, our oak leaf hydrangea hardly had a leaf on them, and that's due to deer predation. Fortunately, without deer pressure, these oak leaf hydrangea are doing great. These plants also flower. We didn't get any flowering this year, but as you can see, we've had ample regrowth, and certainly expect a phenomenally good growing season next year. We do have a mountain fire Pyrrhus japonica in the back. Also had a very difficult growing season, I suspect due to a lack of sun and too much shade. We're getting really nice grow back on that plant as well. I'm going to show you one other new planting, and that is our variegated leaf red twig dogwood. Come with me. Variegated leaf redwood or red twig dogwood is a beautiful plant. Notice the distinctive leaf pattern. When it drops their leaves in the fall, we've got really nice red twigs, which give us a nice pop during the winter months. And we do have 2 of these variegated leaf red twig dogwoods in the yard these days. I think that's just about all there is to tell about the yard this year. And, you know, I certainly appreciate you joining me on the virtual garden tour. Before we end, I'd like you to walk you over to one of my wife's favorite new additions, and that is several strawberry plants that we have growing here on the patio. These plants are new. We've had only a single strawberry so far, but they're coming along nicely and seem to be enjoying the direct sunlight they're getting on our patio here. What to expect in the 2020-2021 growing season? Well, that's a great question, friends. I do expect to do some planting in the fall. We certainly did some cultivation this year, applied a cubic yard of leaf grow and about 3 cubic feet of peat moss. I would like to get some plants in this fall, but only time will tell what the future will bring. So thank you for joining me on this virtual garden tour. I certainly appreciate your patience. I did do some planting over the winter months, but that's a completely different story, and we'll discuss that harvest later in the fall. Thanks for joining me, folks. I look forward to talking to you